Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be part of India's landmark ICT event, India Mobile Congress. I'm Sonika Bajaj, and I'm a partner with KPMG India, focusing on telecom, media, and technology sector. And today, it's a great honor and pleasure for me to moderate today's session on future of 4G ready and 5G enabled smart devices in India. And as we all know, India's today is at a cusp of digital and connectivity revolution. While 4G redefined the data story for the country, 5G is likely to usher in the mass M2M type of communication. Uh, a whole host of industrial innovation that the country can look forward to with the 5G applications. Today, with communication on the go, remote working, remote operations, we're seeing unprecedented growth in smart devices. Just in terms of smartphones, India today is estimated to have 175 million smart devices, smartphones, and which is expected to go further to 500 million by 2027. And similar is the growth trajectory that the other smart devices are going to chart is as 5G deployment gains speed. So today, to discuss this fascinating story, we have some of the best in the tech industry come together in this panel to share insights on the opportunity that we see around the 4G and 5G enabled smart devices. So just before we kickstart the session, I would like to introduce our esteemed panel to you. Today we have with us Mr. Adarsh Nair, CEO Airtel Digital and Chief Product and Experience Officer at Bharti Airtel Limited. He's responsible for driving significant digital innovation and incubating new solutions for Airtel. Adarsh, we'd be very keen to dip into your wealth of knowledge to get some insights on the subject matter. We also have with us Mr. Sunil Dutt, who's the president at Reliance Jio, handling multiple portfolios and brings in wealth of experience not only from his current organization, but also through his earlier experiences around with BlackBerry, HP, Philips, Samsung, Nokia. Sunil is joined by Raghavan Sampath, who's the business development director at MediaTek. Raghavan focuses on proliferating 4G and 5G smart devices and the overall technology, driving various IoT applications such as fixed wireless access points, smart metering, telematics, etc. Thank you for joining, Raghavan, and bringing in this diversity to this discussion. So before we kickstart, I think I would love to have the esteemed panelists' view and some opening remarks on the subject matter. So if we can start with you, Adarsh.
Sure. Thanks a ton, Sonika. So first of all, thanks for having me here. I think it's a very exciting topic that we are here to discuss. So I'm looking forward to learning from Sunil and Raghavan, very emerging kind of area. So my interest comes from two things. One, when you look at India as a country, we are definitely very rich in terms of the youth and the emerging audiences, right? People are willing to experiment and try new things. And we are seeing this today in the sphere of video, in the sphere of gaming, where the numbers are all being driven from this country. Social media, for example, the numbers are being driven from this country. So it's only fair to assume in the world of 5G, a lot more of the use case development could actually happen more from India out to the rest of the world. And in order to enable that future, I think, at least two of the big companies sitting in the room has a very big role to play, which is set up that foundational 5G network on which these use cases can emerge. And, the two areas where I am investing a lot of my time, and my dear friend Randeep from Airtel, he's actually setting up these networks. I'm thinking hard about what are these use cases that could ride on top of this network and drive hopefully phenomenal consumer experiences and drive revenue to a whole bunch of businesses, including us. And there are three big areas that emerge in my mind. One is, of course, how does use cases that you all know today, how is that going to evolve? So when you think about the experiences around gaming, experiences around music, experience around video, this is stuff that everybody's used to. How is that going to evolve? And to give you a taste of what's coming, you could now have real-time music composing that's possible in a world where everybody's connected through 5G. The drummer, the musician, the guitarist could all be real-time recording from different locations across the country. That's one example of what 5G can do for today's, kind of scenarios that we're used to. What's coming, metaverse, this word that's being used quite a lot, it has enormous implications on India. When you see gaming proliferate, I think metaverse is a very natural extension to gaming. So would India be that part of the geography where a lot of these metaverse companies are going to emerge? I'm in touch with a lot of startups that's actually investing in metaverse, backed by, of course, blockchain, crypto, whatnot. So fascinating to see all that energy rising here. I think it'll be important to understand how the device landscape will enable all of that in the coming kind of years to come. So this is a very exciting aspect that I'm hoping I can kind of partner with all of you here and probe a little bit more and learn as we go.
Great, great. Thanks, Adarsh. That reminds me, I'm yet to create my digital avatar to participate in this metaverse. Sunil, over to you. How do you see this 5G story evolving in India and specifically from a smart devices perspective?
Well, Sonika, as Adarsh said, there is a huge proliferation which is going to be happening with respect to technology and 5G. And we've already seen how 4G actually impacted the country. And there was, I would say, was a generational shift from 2G to 4G, because 3G really did not have any kind of an impact on this country, if you ask me. I mean, I was on the other side of the table with devices at that point of time, but brutal, honest, candid answer, 3G didn't have any sort of an impact, significant impact on the country. But 4G really has had a significant impact. And I dare say the story started off when we kind of rolled it out pan-India. What we see, or what I see, is, the world which is getting more and more connected, in every aspect of life. I mean, we see uh, across the globe, we see populations getting connected to each other. Even in India, you see people now in the villages, uh, in the towns, everywhere. They're getting connected to the world. They're getting connected to information. They're getting connected to entertainment. They're getting connected to uh, education. They're getting connected to healthcare. They're getting connected to everything. And the pace at which it is happening, and as others gave that example, the pace at which it is happening, I think, is going to be multiplying several fold with 5G rolling out. And I think digital life is going to impact everything and everybody. So digital technology is going to impact every aspect of our life. And you can think of anything from your shopping to education and all of that. Some of it we've already seen, entertainment, of course. And as others mentioned, uh, having people participate in events together across the country in real time. Along with that, I also see a lot of impact happening on fintech. I see a lot of impact happening on healthcare. I see a lot of impact happening on education, especially in the remotest parts of this country. And even I would dare say, in because we see a lot of people working in that field of animal welfare and cattle welfare and all of that in the villages. So a lot is getting impacted across the spectrum. And whether it's going to be manufacturing or whether it is going to be any of these industries, I don't think anybody is going to remain untouched with this digital technology. So all of us are going to be impacted. The key thing is going to be, how do we keep pace with it? How do we keep pace with the learnings that it is going to provide to all of us? And in order to do that, you do need access to that technology, for which devices are going to be playing the critical role. And fortunately for us, one, we have a large population. We have a very young population, possibly the youngest population in the world. That actually helps us, in terms of adopting technology much faster, because a younger population adopts technology, advances and innovations much faster than some of the other people. I mean, in my own house, I see, my daughters adopting the technology, even faster than I am. And then sometimes they come back and tell me, you got to do this, you got to go this way and do it, So sometimes, on so many of the social media platforms that we all experience, Sometimes, we kind of get stuck at some places, and then I see them coming forward and telling me, that's the way you do it. So the younger population, I find, will always adopt the technology much, much faster. And in that sense, I think we are sitting on a huge opportunity. And already, and I'm sure Raghavan would have more data on that, but already we see a whole lot of 5G devices already getting bought by customers. They're getting experienced by the customers, even though we haven't rolled out the technologies. But that's the way Indian market is. I mean, we hadn't rolled out the 4G networks, but the people had already started buying 4G devices. I remember, the day we rolled out our network, there were already about 100 million 4G devices in the country. And I dare say that, by the time 5G starts to roll out, you would have something very similar, because, our people, they want the latest technology. They're quick to adopt, and they're quick to adapt to the changing environment. So yeah, I would say we are facing a huge opportunity here in this country.
Clearly, we're seeing customers future-proofing themselves with all these devices and being
Yes.
future-ready for 5G. Raghavan, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. It's my honor and pleasure to be on this esteemed panel along with Sunil Dhatt and Adarsh Nair, Sonika. So from MediaTek perspective, or my perspective is, yes, we are all excited about 5G around the corner in India. Globally, we have already seen 5G being rolled out in Western world and China and Japan, Korea. All the developed countries have rolled out 5G, and it's already an immense success. And it has opened up umpteen number of IoT-related opportunities, right? So let us not forget that, yes, we are all excited about 5G, but let us not forget 4G is going to stay for more. So both 4G and 5G is going to coexist. Okay. See, from our perspective today in India, the maximum number of use cases, or the most successful use case for 4G is still mobile phone, right? The IoT use cases in India, unlike the Western world, have not taken off, right? So let us pause for a minute. Let us assume 5G will come next year. So let us take a status quo where we are today, right? So if you look at some of the automotive related applications, IoT related applications, fintech, telematics, they all are still running on 2G today. So 2G has not gone away anywhere. So with emergence of 5G, right, all the 2G applications would kind of die, automatically natural death, and it will migrate to 4G. So 4G and 5G would coexist, and most of the 5G applications in 2022 and 2023 in India, I'm only speaking from India perspective. As Sunil sir already said, just to give you, give the audience the perspective, by 2021, 30 million 5G smartphones will already be sold in India. And most of the handset manufacturers today offer a 5G handset, which is priced at the band of a 4G mid-end or a 4G high-end phone, and it's not a 4G premium phone. We are not talking about a 30K or a 40K phone. Today, 5G phones have breached sub 15,000 rupees mark already. By 2022, expectation is it would go between $150 and $200. That is around 12,000-ish and 10 to 12,000-ish. So imagine when 10 to 12,000 rupees 5G smartphone, along with the 5G commercial network next year, second half, once the government does the spectrum auction rolls out, as you said and Sunil said, there will be more than 100 million 5G smartphones probably by 2023 in India. So 5G smartphone-centric applications now, the smartphone, the device itself, 5G device, 100 million smartphones in the country, and all the applications would be developed around the 5G smartphone device. It could be the gaming, or it could be various other applications, which is like even remote education, remote healthcare. Most of these apps would run on 5G. Now, after 5G smartphone, the other applications which are going to get massively impacted would be the massive IoT, where you need very less latency and high throughput of data. So what does it mean? Some of the IoT applications would still use 4G modem or 4G IoT module, whereas applications where I need to upload and download immense amount of data, I need the least latency. So to give you a classic example, in the Western world, 5G would be most successfully used in ADAS and semi-autonomous and autonomous driving. Maybe the autonomous driving in India use case is very far off, but at least it would aid in semi-autonomous driving or advanced driving information system or advanced driving assistance systems, like how Mahindra XUV 700 is used. So in automotive, 5G use cases would be defined in such a way where I have the least latency, maximum throughput of uplink and downlink. A second use case could be a real-time patient monitoring system by a remote doctor who's in a remote city. Or there could be applications where a surgery is performed by a doctor sitting in a different city altogether or a country altogether on a 5G network in real time, right? Some of the use cases like education and entertainment is already covered by Mr. Adarsh and Sunil, so I don't want to again repeat those applications. Another one application which could have a real impact in India, Sonika, is you need internet to broadband and internet to be always connected. It could be IoT or any of the applications, right? Most of the SMB, there is a huge community of small and medium business enterprise in India, retail outlets in India, where they cannot have a fiber connection, and you don't need a fiber, the wired broadband connection there. So what would happen is you would see 5G MiFi devices, 5G outdoor CPEs, 5G indoor CPEs, which would kind of revolutionize the retail market and the SMB market, which is kind of going to be very unique to India. So with this, I would like to take a pause here, and I just wanted to give you that, we are just scratching the surface or the tip of the iceberg, and it's left to the imagination how the 5G is going to revolutionize the Indian economy and Indian population by 2025.
Great. Thank you, Raghavan. I think that those are very valuable insights and can to share the opportunity landscape that's opening up for us. Adarsh, just moving on to you. You talked about some of the EMBB consumer-facing use cases. There again, India being a mobile-first economy, clearly for the smartphone plays a critical role. So how do you see that space evolving, specifically with 5G coming in?
A lot of the thoughts that I agree with, a lot of the thoughts that were shared earlier by Raghavan and Sunil. Like 4G, the 5G phones are being sold today. Now, the reality is when you look at the manufacturers, many of them are global, even for the Indian phones, right? Many of them are global manufacturers. So they're already shipping into those international markets. As we speak, those phones are coming to India. A lot of the customers are already buying 5G phones because they're just future-proofing themselves, saying it's going to come maybe 6 months, 1 year from now. Why not just buy a phone if the price is very comparable? So that's happening right now. There is some really cutting edge innovation happening that is driving prices down, which is allowing some of those entry point smartphones to be 5G enabled. I think Jio's got big plans there. So I do think, this concept of 5G coming, I think it's going to be more about the network landing it than there being consumers with the phones, because I think a lot of consumers will have these phones by the time we land the network. And then 4G is going to stay. It's going to probably take a 2 to 3 year journey for that 5G penetration then to increase, changing 4G. I do believe that's what's going to happen. The adoption may be faster, and that will primarily be determined by if there's a hero use case. If there's a use case that's so prevalent in the consumer side of the story that every consumer is saying there's no point sticking with 4G, let's just up the game into 5G, that could be interesting. And is there a use case today that comes to mind? Particularly no. But this is where social media, gaming, all these, we have to put a very careful watch. Like, are there emergent scenarios that dominates, in which case then 5G takes off even faster? So that's definitely where my thinking is. I do want to spend a little bit of time on the devices aspect of it, because I think Raghavan brings some excellent points. 5G may find very effective use cases in B2B before B2C. Because, the fact is that there are certain industries that are actually waiting for the 5G use cases to land. And one special one is connectivity. Because India, as you may already realize, businesses are hungry for bandwidth. And many businesses today rely on 4G for all their internet needs. They don't get fiber because fiber is very expensive in this country, right? And you hear all the stories about satellite technology to kind of give internet. A lot of these satellites also don't give you the throughput you need for proper broadband. So 5G broadband and connected devices ecosystem for B2B is going to be very powerful. And many businesses are going to go after that option as a faster method of getting high throughput broadband connectivity. So that's also going to be a very interesting area, and there's going to be a device ecosystem connected to that that's going to emerge in India. So these two for sure, very hot areas to watch, and I'm also particularly excited to see how this is going to evolve.
Great, great, great. Sunil, just moving on, and on a related topic, we talked about this, crazy amount of numbers of devices, 5G devices, as we're expecting to, some of these use cases to proliferate. How do you see, and clearly in a market like India, affordability is a key aspect around the devices, and specifically knowing that Jio has a focus on providing affordable devices. What's your perspective on how is this market likely to evolve? Raghavan touched about some numbers. Are these realistic numbers in terms of achieving them in near future from a pricing perspective?
Yeah, well, I think Sonika, thanks for pointing that out. And that's, yes, we are always constantly focused on providing affordable solutions for the customers. You've done that earlier with the JioPhone, when the customers in the remotest parts of the country, they could get a device for as low as 500 rupees, and that was a 4G device. So it wasn't just a feature phone; it was a 4G device, a 4G smartphone. In terms of affordability, I think device organizations are constantly working on providing affordable devices in India, because all the brands which are working in India, they know the country, they know the challenges with respect to ownership. So while we do have a huge population that can afford all the mid to high end devices, there is a larger population that is looking for affordable devices, and the same story will emerge with 5G as well. And I think the numbers that Raghavan spoke about are quite realistic in terms of we can expect between 100 to 150 million 5G smartphones existing in the country by the time the networks start off. Out of a total of about 500 million at this point of time, and expectedly moving to about 600 million smartphone market by the time this rolls out. So I think that possibility exists. The other factor is that affordability has to be not just driven by the brands or the device brands trying to make cheaper phones, because even they would not like to make compromises with the devices. But it is also going to be how the entire ecosystem can make it affordable for the customers. For example, the financing option that we've just launched with JioPhone Next. I mean, that is one direction by which it can be done. And I'm sure whether it is the device brands or whether it is people like us or whether it is all of the financial institutions in between, they'll all be focusing on trying to make it affordable, and also to make it affordable for larger population than people who today have access to only debit and credit cards, etc. So I'm sure all those solutions are going to be worked upon, and it will become possible for people to start owning a 5G smartphone. And by that point of time, as Raghavan pointed out, now we are seeing below 15,000 rupees 5G smartphones coming in. Maybe there will be people who will attempt to bring it below 10,000 rupees also. And if that happens, I'm sure there's a huge market that will open up for a lot of people. And then as we go along, this is a market which operates on not just the new phones, but also on the pre-owned phones, and some of that would get to come into the market and make it more affordable for people to start owning that. The reason why I say it will be a little challenging in the initial stages for people to bring down the prices is because 5G is all about experience. Even 4G we see is all about experience. So if you notice, in the last 5 to 6 years, the screen size of smartphones has moved up from a 4.5 inch to now 6+, because people want there's so much of content and people want to experience that, and experience is what is driving a lot of ownership. Along with that, I think the last 18 months of the pandemic, which added to the needs of education and the needs of other important aspects of life, and I'm not talking just entertainment here, but that also has moved the desire to move towards larger screens, because people do need to interact with them. I think a whole lot has happened which has impacted this industry, and yes, affordability definitely is going to remain a top priority, not just for device brand, but also for us, and also for, I'm sure, for a lot of financial institutions. Both Adarsh and Raghavan mentioned about a huge base of small industries, the SMEs and the SMBs. For them also, I think affordability is a key factor. And over there, it is not just about affordability of a device, but also about affordability of connectivity, and how they are able to conduct their business in a manner which doesn't hurt them financially while they are trying to scale up. So I think that is another opportunity area which I'm sure all of us will work on. And because there are millions and millions upon these businessmen who are looking for these kind of solutions. So thank you, Raghavan, Adarsh, for pointing this out. And it is, I think it is our responsibility to be able to work with them, to be able to provide them these affordable solutions.
Great. Moving on, Raghavan, given MediaTek's experience in global markets, how do you see? Can you share some of the experiences that the global we've seen in global markets where the device market has gone through a transition from 4G to 5G? So, what has been your experience, and how can those be leveraged in India for better proliferation of these devices?
Yeah, sure, Sunika. So, as Sunil sir and Adarsh touched upon, before going to the global perspective, let me tell you how unique India is. Then I will tell you how global market is evolving and how we could use those experiences or learnings to make 5G devices or 5G smartphone more successful in India. So India is probably the only country where 30 million 5G devices are already sold. 120 million 4G is sold every year. This year, I'm talking 2021. And believe it or not, there is still 2G feature phone demand in India, right? So India is a very unique country, and people look for value for money, right? And you have 2G feature phone people who are aspiring to move to a 4G smartphone. And 4G smartphone guys, as Mr. Sunil already said, they want to make it future-proof, or they are getting a 5G handset at a affordable cost, or not a very premium price, but at 15K-ish, 15K, 20K-ish, which is kind of still affordable for medium class and a higher, upper medium class society. So that's why you see 30 million of 5G smartphones. This is very unique about India, which is not existing in the Western world. Today, if you look at China or look at US and Europe, where maximum 5G is sold, 5G phones are sold, already China, 85% of the new phones in 2021 were 5G. Only 15% were 4G. Compared, same with US. I mean, I have to name few OEMs because you're asking about the global trends. Look at Apple. So Apple, all the phones, the latest phones are 5G enabled. So if you look at the global trend today, most of the 5G phones are targeting at mid-tier, high-end and premium segment, right? Where today phones are $500, $800. I mean, in between $300+. Let me give you a perspective: $300+ to $800, where it addresses various price points. And as we already heard from other panelists, one is the user experience. So display size. There are various display technologies. You have camera now. You have high definition recording, encoding, video encoder, decoder. Last but not least, power consumption. So you need performance. You need optimized power. You need the best video encoding camera experience. Not to discount AI. AI is catching up, and you have a lot of AI functions on the camera or the video capture features itself today. So from global perspective, what we have done is just to brag around, MediaTek has become the #1 smartphone SoC vendor globally last 6 quarters. And last week, our CEO did mention that it is not accidental. We invest $3.5 billion into R&D, smartphone research and development. And this trend is going to continue into 2022. And MediaTek has the biggest market share in terms of 5G as well. So now why I'm bringing this topic is, so in order to address all this $300 price point to $800 price point with varied functionalities, with varied features, it could be battery optimization or fast charging, a high definition camera, AI engine, gaming hyper engine, right? And the latest ARM core, we call it as ARM V9 architecture. So we were the first to launch an ARM V9 architecture in the 5G space. Similarly, we also have the best ISP, the image sensing processor. So just to give you a correlation, it's a 9 gigapixel image sensing processor, the camera sensor. And what we have done is we have, you can integrate 3 cameras which are offering you 320 megapixels, right? So this is the global perspective. And can this be correlated to India? Answer is the learnings can be reused, but if I bring this Dimensity 9000, which is going to be a high-end flagship chip, which is targeted for a $1,000 phone, no. Maybe we'll have 2% or 1% of market share who might use such high-end phones. Now we are looking at India market where maximum users would want a sub $200 phone, as Sunil sir rightly said. Maybe if you breach that sub 10,000 rupees, there could be 200 million, 300 million adoption. Yes, we are working towards it. And just to give you a perspective, we have the 5G product roadmap is called Dimensity series. So we have Dimensity series now 9 platforms, 9 total different platforms. Starts with Dimensity 700. Goes up to 750, 800, 900, 1000, 1200. Last week, our CEO launched the flagship devices called Dimensity 9000 and Dimensity 7000 series. And to add to it, we have Dimensity 1300 series. So totally 8 to 9 platforms to address 5G segment for various price points, for various markets, for various bands, for various features, right? So as we all know, one size doesn't fit all. Especially in smartphone segment, we need to cater to the entire needs of the consumer in various geographies. So that's what we are doing in 5G. Let me again iterate, India 4G is going to still continue in 2022 and 2023. 4G is not going to go away. This year, roughly smartphones total volume, as I said, it's going to be 170 million total smartphones sold in India based on various market research, out of which 30 to 35 will be 5G. So remaining 130 or 125, let us round it off to 125 for the sake of discussion. So 125 million units of 4G smartphone is still sold in India, right? So to answer another question for the benefit of audience and also my co-panelists, MediaTek is still investing on 4G. I can't reveal some of the information. It's premature. It will happen by end of December. So we will be announcing a new complete SKU of 4G devices to address the needs of the market and also to address some of the emerging needs of developing countries like India for that matter. So what I would like to summarize is we do have a comprehensive 4G portfolio, still investing. New devices will be launched in 2022. And 5G, as I said, we are already a #1 SoC vendor or biggest market share in 5G, and we still keep investing for the developed countries. So that's what I would like to give from the smartphone perspective. Other than smartphone, we do have the thin modem, which probably I will take it up later in the discussion. I don't want to confuse the audience. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Raghavan. Others, just moving on. I mean, Airtel has been participating in the 5G trials, and we also know Airtel's focus on digital and enterprise play. So, How do you see some of these partnerships that are evolving, which we saw in the 5G trials also, partnership with tech companies, with device manufacturers? How do we see that evolving, and how do you see that changing the game for a telco to participate in some of these enterprise opportunities that are emerging?
I can just say it's a very exciting time. Uh, I can't tell you right now that there's a lot of clarity on exactly what we're going to do a year from now, but we are experimenting, and it's these experiments that you see that land in press. So, for example, on the consumer side, and I agree with a lot of the comments here that 4G is going to be here to stay. But on the consumer side, where I think 5G has an edge is one for sure on cloud gaming. So as you know, increasingly it's a mobile gaming country, 250 million gamers, primarily mobile. So when 5G comes along, I'm seeing conversations both on the publisher side, which are the people who build the games, and then also on the cloud gaming, I would say software maker side, that there is genuine interest that could that be one of the primary scenarios that drive the value of 5G. And we are now partnering with certain publishers to see how the games are going to evolve to a 5G world. And then we're also partnering with some of these big cloud gaming infra players, partnering with them to see, can we set up real demos, can we test things. So that's definitely an exciting chapter. I do think something real is going to happen there. As an extension of that world, if from one of the big manufacturers we do end up getting the the VR,
Yeah, we are.
that's going to make it so interesting. I can quickly see the I would say the innovators buying into those technologies, trying out the true power of 5G. That could be a very exciting world. I am a techie myself, so I'm probably one of those guys waiting for that tech to land. But exciting times. And some of these back end, I would say, software that powers all this, there are some great manufacturers who's making all this stuff. We are testing it with them. That's going to be exciting. In that same realm, like I said, we are actually working with software programmers who are building suites that can be used by artists to go co-create. That's also very interesting. We're actually now testing some of these things in our networks, in our private 5G networks here. So that part's interesting. We also see a different kind of, a different set of partnerships. For example, when you think about B2B, we're seeing some very interesting use cases in surveillance. So there's a lot of experimentation on setting up edge products that will actually take the surveillance feed, do a lot of real-time processing, and then there's a massive demand on the video stream then being sent into the cloud, which again could be a 5G scenario. So there is a surveillance test case that's becoming very interesting, more for industrial scenarios, but that's pretty interesting. We recently had a conversation with a large broadcaster where, when you think about sports and more and more interest is coming in from the consumer groups to say, listen, I want to see this particular moment in 3 different angles. And as soon as you think about that consumer scenario on the back end, the requirements on the feeds, different camera feeds, all coming in real time to that processing center, those are the demands on the back end. So now these broadcasters, these publishing companies are asking us, what is the hardware plus software magic that you can bring along, where more and more of this multi-camera approach can be made possible on the back end. And then, of course, the consumers enjoy all these different angles. Let's say while somebody's playing cricket. So these are also experiments we're running to see what is the true value of 5G on the business side, which then translates to a better experience for the consumers. So that is another very fun area that we're experimenting with, we're learning from, just to see, could that be of practical business value as we kind of move forward. We also see some very interesting use cases with automotive and 5G. This again is very futuristic. I don't know when India will be ready, but if you can imagine that cloud gaming is going to happen in India in that future, I do not see why there could be cars who are in future IoT devices transmitting data which can be processed, which makes navigation easier or entertainment in the car easier. Who knows? There could be scenarios there. There are some experiments we're running in that area too. I think I will allude to what Sunil and Raghavan said earlier. It's unlimited scenarios. What are practical in India is kind of the job to be done with this group here. The devices that need to support it, the ability for consumers to pay for some of these services because there's a cost to all of this. All that needs to be carefully thought through as we decide what are the 10 big things that India really needs that we as a unit can bring to market and consumers can enjoy. So that gives you a surface level answer. More than happy to deep dive if there's an interest in a particular area.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Adarsh. Sunil, Adarsh talked about these surface level challenges that we're facing. How do you think the industry is working together in terms of eliminating some of these? We talked about affordability. There's security as a challenge. As we are looking at more and more applications, security of the devices, all of those aspects also need to be taken care of. What do you see as the primary challenges, and how do you see the industry working on some of those challenges that can help proliferate these devices in the country?
Well, actually, honestly, if you ask me, Sonika, I mean, I don't think there are challenges that we're facing. I think there are these, I would just flip the word around and say there are these opportunities that we can see, to be solved and provided for the customers. So, I mean, I don't want to repeat everything that Adarsh said, because that is something that all of us digital organizations are working towards. I mean, all of us are working towards these solutions. And if we need to scale it up, all organizations and the entire ecosystem is supporting this entire innovation around these spaces. So I honestly don't see it as a challenge. I see it as a huge opportunity which is there. And the entire ecosystem, including and there's a lot of work which is going on in terms of automobiles, and there's a lot of work which is going on in terms of the B2B space. There is a lot of work which is going on in the healthcare. So all these are opportunities, and honestly, I think all of us are working towards each of these. And from a consumer angle, again, the entertainment aspects, the gaming aspects, all of that is clearly being worked upon. I mean, each and every one of these aspects is being worked upon. So no challenges there.
Great. Raghavan, my next question is to you regarding similar lines. I mean, we talked about opportunities in the segment. What is your view in terms of MediaTek's roadmap to tap these opportunities, specifically, also talking, if you could also talk about India's capability around, building those indigenous capabilities around, some of these smart devices.
Okay, sure, Sonika. So last 45 minutes, we have seen what 5G can bring to us in terms of applications. There are at least 8 or 10 applications we have already discussed, how it's going to change lives, how it's going to touch everybody, right? So from 5G devices perspective, let me tell you broadly from MediaTek, we categorize 5G into 3 buckets, right? I'll come to the question how India can play a role in terms of developing, but before that, we want to tell you not just MediaTek, how the 5G devices market is evolving, right? So 5G, we do a modem first. It's a 5G modem, which is based on the 3GPP release, which can do the 5G encoding and decoding or 5G modulation and demodulation technique. So this we call it as the base modem. And this base modem is now given a shape or avatars to fit into various applications. The first one I already spoke, or we spoke in length, the mobile phone or the smartphone segment, where you have various SKUs or various devices to fit various consumer needs. The second aspect is we are talking about the broadband access where the fiber or copper cannot reach the end user. It could be B2C or it could be B2B for that matter. Even in India, based on some of the inputs what I have received from Airtel Fiber and JioFiber, there are at least few million users in India who cannot get broadband access because fiber cannot be drawn to their house, or fiber, the last mile, you can't get the fiber. So 5G is going to solve this problem. It's going to be a unique solution for India. And what it does is you have a customer premises equipment. We see outdoor CPE. So this is going to be on the sill or on the window or on the parapet wall on your building, and you get Wi-Fi 6. So in order to match the 5G throughputs, right? 5G, you have the throughput of a 3 Gbps downlink and 500 or 300 Mbps uplink. In order to get that throughput, you have the Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7 technology, which is coming in. So the last WLAN, the LAN local area network is going to be Wi-Fi 6 and 5G modem or a 5G CPE sitting outside. So there are going to be 3 variants. One is the outdoor unit, the indoor unit, and the MiFi routers. So these MiFi routers are nothing but similar to your 4G MiFi routers, which are battery operated. You are connected to the network on the move, on the go, wherever you can't get your wired connection. Right now, the third aspect which we are focusing as a company, or what we are doing is we are targeting a unique segment called always connected PCs or always connected laptops, tablets, and Chromebooks. So what we are doing is we are working on a modem which is going to get into your PC, the 5G modem, right? And you have an eSIM there. eSIM giving you the 5G connectivity. You can opt whichever service provider you want to, and your tablet or the Chromebook or notebook is always connected. It could be home, or it could be office, or it could be on the move. So this is one segment which 5G is getting a lot of popularity globally, the use cases. The other very clear takeaway is automotive. We have spoken, especially the Western world, 5G automotive modules will be used inside the vehicle for various aspects, including navigation, telematics, and entertainment. So you have multiple screens in a luxury car where somebody is watching a movie, somebody is listening to the music, somebody is watching a live sport, live cricketing event, or any other sport event, or live orchestra. So you can do streaming of live events in your car through a 5G module sitting into the automotive. The last application where I said it's left to your imagination will be a 5G generic module. It's called an IoT module. Wherever we need massive IoT connectivity or massive throughputs, so we are going to use these modules along with the devices. So the classic example would be the smart surveillance or the smart city projects, right? The smart surveillance, you have video coming in, you have live streaming, it could be 4K or 1080p or HDR recording streaming coming in. And you might have difficulty in pumping these streams to the central console or cloud using the fiber network or the copper network. So what you do is automatically put a 5G module inside this IP surveillance camera, and you are connected uninterrupted 24/7 as long as your backhaul 5G services supports the 5G network. So it could be the industry 4.0. We are talking about the manufacturing efficiency and just in time, and also monitor your manufacturing lines. The industry 4.0, 5G is going to play a very critical role in the industry 4.0. Smart retail, we are kind of not considering this segment so seriously, but Western world, they rely on smart retail using the 5G modules. So what we are talking about is a generic IoT module, a 5G module coming from various companies. So it would be as easy as plug and play. You take a 5G module, plug in it in an embedded application where you need a 5G connectivity, and you are on the go or on the move getting the 5G data. So these are various 5G devices where we are categorizing. So coming to what India can do, or Indian ecosystem can do, honestly. So just to give you a perspective, all the Dimensity chipsets, 5G chipsets, what MediaTek has rolled out in India, both MediaTek Noida Design Center and Bangalore Design Center has a maximum role to play into the device design itself. So we as Indians could be proud that all the 5G chipsets which are rolled out of MediaTek is designed out of India. Unfortunately, the chipset manufacturing ecosystem is not set up in India, so we are not manufacturing these devices in India. It's either TSMC or the global foundries, the manufacturing ecosystem. Now coming to the device providers, right? So if you want me to give a classic, already a success story, take the Lava Agni 5G smartphone, which got launched last month. So this 5G smartphone was designed by Lava with help of MediaTek in India and launched for India. So this is one example of a 5G device designed out of India. But as I said, imagination is, it's left to our imagination how we can enable the 5G device development, the end product development. Other examples could be the 5G Chromebook, 5G enabled tablets, 5G enabled PCs, 5G in automotive. So we are working with telecom service providers likes of Jio and Airtel and some of the automotive companies, where they are using our 5G modules to do the trials in the Jio network, or Jio is doing or Airtel is doing trials. So as I said, we can enable all the 5G related applications or related devices sitting in India and add value to the economy. So that's where we are today. Of course, it's maturing. The 5G ecosystem is maturing. Once the commercial rollout happens next year, you would see more and more 5G device manufacturers in India designing and manufacturing.
Great. Thanks, Raghavan. I think that's a great example of collaboration of how a TSP, R&D house, and a chip manufacturer and a device manufacturer are coming together and kind of creating solutions for the Indian market.
Yeah.
Great. I think with that, we've come to now top of the slot that was given to us, and taking cue from insights that all of you guys have shared with us. Clearly, India is at the cusp of this digital revolution, and where smart devices have a big role to play. I think the opportunity is tremendous and calls for greater collaboration between the different industry stakeholders and also the government. Affordability, security, I think these are some of the critical aspects that will help garner lion's share in this vast opportunity. With this, I would like to thank each one of you for being part of this deeply insightful panel. On behalf of the entire panel, I would also like to thank India Mobile Congress and COI for this great opportunity and platform to share our thoughts. Thank you, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Sonika, Raghavan, others. Been wonderful being a part of this panel. Thank you all.
Likewise. Thanks, Sonika.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. Yeah, it was an honor and pleasure to be part on this Elite panel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.